Hello everyone, welcome to Lukman IS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 12th December 2020. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. So these are the articles for mains purpose and for prelims purpose. We have segregated them. Let us see one by one. First article on page number 6. The context of the article here, it is talking about the kind of parliamentary scrutiny system, or we can say committee system we have, and the recent farmers protest that is going on because of the three farm laws that have been enacted by the central government without any scrutiny by the committees, or these bills were not, let's say, selected or given to the what you can say recommendation for the committees of the parliament, and therefore if it would have been recommended to these committees, there could have been any, let's say, substantial scrutiny of these bills, and let's say consultations to the stakeholder would have been done by the committee, and all the stakeholders would have been let's say included in that consultative process, and such kind of protest would not have happened. ये सारा article में दिया गया है. Okay, so let us see take input how it is talking about the present system, committee system, and the past, how we adopted this system from British India time period, and how it is working in recent past. All these things are given here, the trend also. The parliamentary scrutiny through committee system. The demand for repeal of laws passed by the parliament only recently essentially points to the serious lapse in the management of legislative work in the parliament. Now this statement can be directly asked as a question statement. Okay, so the context here is recently the three farm laws that have been enacted by the government, and the farmers are pressing for repeal of those laws. Parliament is the supreme law making body which has put in place a large machinery of committees to scrutinize the bill which are brought before it by the government as a part of its legislative program. Rules of the house leave it to the speaker and chairman, that means presiding officers of both houses, to refer the bills to standing committees for detailed scrutiny of these bills. While undertaking such scrutiny, the committees invite various stakeholders to place their views before them. At the same time, only after elaborate consultation do committees formulate their views and recommendations. So this is a very healthy practice, we can say that, and all the different views are accommodated in that bill get reformed, and the good recommendations on that bill are put forward by these committees. What is the recent trend, however? The data shows that very few bills are referred to the parliamentary committees now, especially since 2014, the NDA 1 government and NDA 2, the present government. Ministers are generally reluctant to send their bills to committees because they are in hurry to pass them. But the presiding officer are required to exercise their independent judgment in the matter and decide the issue, whether to, let's say, refer the bill to the standing committee or not. Okay, practice from the past. Actually, we have adopted this practice from the British Parliament, which has been doing it since 16th century. The Indian experience of legislative scrutiny of bills go back to the post-Montagu Chelmsford reforms, wherein like Central Legislative Assembly, which was the Parliament of British India, had set up three committees: Committee on Petitions related to bills, Select Committee of Amendments of Standing Orders, and Select Committee on Bills. So such three committees were scrutinizing the bills put forward by the government. Examples of the bills referred to the committees post-independence time period, and how these bills emerged as very good, let's say, laws: Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Bill, Seeds Bill 2004, Companies Bill, Amendment Bill, Information Technology Bill, Goods and Services Tax, Lokpal and Lokayukta Bill. Now at present these bills are very good in terms of, let's say, their intentions or ensuring the intended work here by laws. Now, what is regarding the three farm bills? It is difficult to understand why the farm bills, the three farm bills, they seek to alter the well established system of grain trade in a major grain growing states, and which have left farmers completely shaken, were not sent to the parliamentary committees on agriculture for detailed study. The committee is sure to have consulted farmers apart from the other stakeholders like state government and suggested improvement which perhaps could have averted the current agitation that is going on. Okay. Functioning by the consensus, our parliamentary system, especially the committee system, functions through the consensus. Our parliamentary committees have tradition of working in a non-party manner. Okay. At the same time, despite the adversarial politics playing out in full force in the houses, the calm atmosphere prevailing in the committee rooms and the purposiveness shown by the members in dealing with the issues are tremendously reassuring factors. So, the complete article is discussing the significance of parliamentary scrutiny system or committee system, and the government needs to refer more and more bills to this committees, especially those which are having significant impact on various sectors of society and economy. Okay, so such kind of bills should be referred to the committees. Generally what happens is those bills which are having some kind of technicalities वो जनरली कमिटीज को दिए जाते हैं, ठीक है, स्क्रूटिनी के लिए. देखिए यहाँ पे कंपनीज बिल रिलेट्स टू कॉर्पोरेट सेक्टर, आईटी बिल टेक्निकल है, जीएसटी बिल भी काफी टेक्निकल था उसमें, सीड्स बिल काफी टेक्निकल है, वेयर इन प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स, साइंटिस्ट एंड देयर व्यूज आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ओके, सो जनरली ऐसे बिल जो है कमिटीज को रेफर किए ही जाते हैं. ओके, हाउएवर in general such bills like the farm bills which have huge impact or changes the bring changes to substantial changes to the existing system, such bills should be referred to committees. ये आपने आगे conclusion में way forward में बोलना चाहिए. Fine? Okay. Next, again article on editorial page, connecting more people. So recently we have talked about the PM Wani scheme that has been launched by the government, Prime Minister Wi-Fi Access Network Interface Scheme, PM Wani. Okay, so this scheme is intended to provide broadband services to more and more people, especially local areas wherein, or we can say that low income group people who do not have avenues to get access to the broadband services which are provided by the telecom companies, which are pretty much costly services. Okay, now reducing that cost and providing access to that low income group which has huge benefits in terms of economic growth and empowerment. Okay, so this is what the article is discussing. Now, the central government's move to enable public Wi-Fi data service through small retail data offices can get many more people connected. So, this is talking about the increasing penetration, internet penetration in India. At present, a low level of penetration is there in rural India. Okay, 27.57 subscriber per 100 population in 2009. So, this facts and data can be written in your answer. Okay. At the same time, potentially internet access will connect a new way of users, not just to commercial and entertainment options, but also on education, telehealth and agriculture extension, and bring greater accountability to the government by boosting transparency and interactivity. So, people participation through internet will increase all these things and empower people. Along with that, upcoming mobile technologies such as 5G may provide good quality data, but they involve high investment in new spectrum, connectivity equipment and regular subscriber fees. And that's why we can say that until the 5G services do not have some low cost, let's say, connectivity, we can focus on increasing this broadband services at present. It opens up opportunities for community organizations, libraries, educational institutions, panchayats, small entrepreneurs to tap into a whole new ecosystem, this PM1A system. Okay, so it can let's say move forward to connect the a way forward to connect the low revenue consumers. So what are the concerns? The citizens have concerns about they expect the robust service, protection of data, integrity, transparency on commercial use of data, and security against the cyber attacks. These are some concerns we can say that, and government need to ensure all these services, or we can say work on these concerns here. Cyber security, data protection, all these things. So in conclusion, we can say that executed properly, the public data offices, PDOs of PM1E can do what the PCOs did for phone calls, going well beyond the ease of doing business to genuinely empower citizens. So such kind of conclusion can be written. This part can be used in essay paper as well as GS3, connectivity and how communication connectivity ensures the economic growth in the any economy, especially when we talk about the use of internet for economic growth. This is very important aspect in present era. Fine. Next, PM Uzbek President discuss Afghan project. Now there was virtual summit between the heads of the government of two countries, and both countries addressed the need to fight terrorism and shared the same vision on future of Afghanistan peace process. At the same time, the first joint military exercise between two armed forces of two countries took place in 2019. It was named Dastlik. Okay, उज्बेकिस्तान में हुआ था वो Dastlik. India also confirmed the approval of $448 million line of credit for 4 development projects in Uzbekistan. Also, two sides signed a dollar credit line agreement between Export-Import Bank of India and Uzbekistan government. Two leaders acknowledged that the current bilateral trade levels about $285 million in 2018 was far below its potential, and that's why they are working to increase that or realize the true potential in bilateral trade. Now what is important for our examination, for prelims examination, this Dastlik military bilateral military service let's say exercise. Along with that, when we talk about India Central Asian countries relations, ये bilateral nature में आपको उज्बेकिस्तान पता होना चाहिए. Most important is mapping section. In mapping section, 2-3 important aspects like which countries are having boundary with Uzbekistan. You can see here, this is Uzbekistan. Now Turkmenistan is having boundary, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan and Afghanistan. So these are the 5 countries surrounding Uzbekistan. The another important aspect here is that Aral Sea is located between having area located in 2 countries. One is Kazakhstan and second is Uzbekistan. You can see here. Another important fact is 2 important rivers of Central Asia that drain into Aral Sea. Sir Darya river, you can see here, and Amu Darya river. You can see this Amu Darya river like this. Now these 2 rivers, important rivers, they flow through Uzbekistan. Okay, and they drain into Aral Sea. So these facts are important from prelims perspective. You need to know these things. For let's say further detailed information about Uzbekistan and Central Asian countries, you need to go and look into Atlas. And today itself, after let's say reading this news, you go to Atlas and look out for other things like यहाँ पे इधर Caspian Sea होगा. So Caspian Sea and the neighboring countries having border with Caspian Sea. ठीक है, तो ये सारी चीजें आपने वहाँ पे देखनी चाहिए. Fine. So such kind of question can be there in prelims. Aral Sea has its area located in which of the following 2 countries? You may get confused. One you may remember Kazakhstan, but other countries. Okay, so Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, these are the 2 countries. Option D. Then India is on track to reduce emissions. So recently our environment minister, Union Environment Minister, he said that India was one of only major country in G20 that was on track towards keeping its nationally determined commitments to halve runway global warming. Okay, so yes, background आप दे सकते हैं यहाँ पे. In 2015 we have nationally determined contributions, three important targets or let's say determinants: improving the emission intensity of its GDP by 33 to 35% by 2030 over 2005 levels. This was first commitment. Second, increasing the share of non-fossil fuels based electricity to 40% by 2030. Enhancing its forest cover, thereby absorbing 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide. So creating such kind of carbon sink through afforestation measures. Okay, so these were our nationally determined contributions. So we have already achieved 21% of our emission intensity target. ये जो total target है 33 to 35%. So we have already achieved 21% and renewable share का energy mix हमारा जो है अभी हो गया है 37.9% and target is only 40% at present. So we are very much near to achieve these first two targets. Our tree cover has increased 15,000 square kilometer in last 6 years. So very important facts, updated facts are directly government records given by minister. You should use these updated facts and show that how India is leading on climate change actions at the world level. Fine. Also, he was talking or giving let's say media briefing ahead of International Climate Ambition Summit to be jointly hosted on Saturday by United Nations, the United Kingdom and France in partnership with Chile and Italy to mark the 5th anniversary of adoption of Paris Agreement. It is being called as Spirit to Glasgow. Now Glasgow is where the COP26 is to be conducted or scheduled of UNFCCC in 2021, November 2021. ये प्रीलिम्स के लिए आपको इम्पोर्टेंट है. ग्लासगो में होने वाला है, ठीक है, यूके में है ग्लासगो. द पेरिस एग्रीमेंट, बैकग्राउंड में थोड़ी बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन. COP21 in let's say Paris, that was agreed in 2015 December 12. It was let's say enacted, came into force in 2016 November and has 188 parties. All parties to it are expected to undertake ambitious efforts to support the agreement's goal and communicate all these things or intentions, nationally determined intentions every 5 years in the form of NDCs. Okay. So yes, this is the basic information. Try to take input. One aspect is this facts, updated facts. Second aspect from prelims perspective, ये तो पूछा हुआ है यूपीएससी ने पहले ही अभी प्रीलिम्स में, फिर से रिवीजन हो रहा है, बट ये फैक्ट्स इंपॉर्टेंट है. along with that some basics about Paris Agreement. Next, new cross sector initiative for universal health coverage. So now this initiative has been taken in or initiated by Lancet's Citizen Commission on reimagining India's health system. Now this is the cross sector initiative to develop citizens roadmap to achieving universal health coverage in India over the next 10 years. Now this initiative in collaboration with Lancet Journal and Lakshmi Mittal and Family South Asia Institute, Harvard University. Okay, so here the commission will be guided by 4 principles. Why it is important for us? ये तो प्रीलिम्स के लिए ठीक है, एक इंफॉर्मेशन आपको पता होनी चाहिए, but in way forward when we talk about the important principles, important areas where the government should work to ensure universal health coverage, they are like all health concerns, along with that prevention and long term care is the key, financial protection for all health costs, aspiring for health system that can have be accessed by all who enjoy the same quality. Quality of health service, accessibility, affordability and availability. ठीक है, तो ये सारी चीज़ें जो है 4 principles you can mention in your answer also in mains examination and for prelims this initiative. Okay. Yes, so these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes wherein in-depth analysis of mains related issues and articles is done by Ansari sir and team, you can contact Lukman IAS. Thank you.